Hey everybody, and welcome back to Out Today and What I Missed right here on the Heavy Briefings YouTube channel. This is for March 26, 2026, the final episode for March 2026, and the final episode for Q1 of 2026. So we're going out big here with 24 albums to cover, 11 that are out today, 13 that I missed along the way, and if some of these reviews are shorter than I normally do, I deeply apologize. I'm still going through a lot with my broken tooth and a lot of personal stuff going on, so I'm just trying to get by, so I hope you understand until this gets resolved, hopefully in April. So, until then, let's do this. First up, we have Acidosis with Arrival. The debut album from this Miami Beach thrash band is chock full of fun tunes that hit some dark subject matter. The songs are all blistering and hit this level of thrash and similar subgenres that scratch the itch for those that are looking for a band that can do a little bit of everything from power trip to Melodeath to DRI to suicidal tendencies all in one band. The production on this one feels vintage in the best of ways, and the songwriting feels like a love letter to the past while updated enough to be effective for the modern day. This 26-minute assault is more than worthy of your time, no matter your style of thrash enjoyment. Now we have Defacing God with Darkness Is My Crown. The sophomore album from this band out of Denmark is how you make symphonic, gothic, and black metal sustainable. The entire album feels like they doubled down on what worked best from their debut album and added the right herbs and spices to make the music as catchy as it is haunting. Mixing the best of bands like Dimmu Borgir, Karak Ingren, Frantic Amber, and Zornheim, Defacing God is pushing the genre back to the forefront, and it's desperately needed. We've been sitting well on this style in 2026 so far, but we always need more, and this is a band that is more than delivering the goods for symphonic, gothic, and black metal. Next up is Divine Chaos with Hate Reactor. 3 albums into this UK thrash band's career, and they are easily at their best so far, capturing a great mix of thrash, Melodeath, and super catchy choruses to give you a little bit of something for everyone, but never feels pandering. The production feels modern but authentic, and it's clearly real, with songwriting that is the exact same way. If you want a mix of Exodus, The Crown, and Acidosis, Divine Chaos will be a band you need in your life. Next up is Godsticks with VoiD. The 7th album from this UK prog band hits the perfect balance of progressive rock and metal. It never gets too heavy, getting into progressive death metal that is, and it never gets too soft being straight up progressive rock. It's right in the middle, and it feels so good. That is not to say that this is not a dark and angry album, as it is easily their heaviest album that they've ever put out. And it's for those who enjoy Latter Day, Porcupine Tree, and the heavier ends of Riverside. The songwriting is top class and intricate, with a production style that feels sensational for the style. You can tell that they push themselves on this one, and it makes for an album that is worthy of any prog fan's ears. If you need a prog album that couldn't feel more appropriate in 2026, give this one a listen. Now we have Growth with Under the Under. The sophomore album in first in 6 years from this Australian band is something I truly needed. It combines the right elements of tech death, avant-garde, and extreme metal in a way that is palatable but pushes the boundaries of what is possible in these styles. Featuring past members of Neavlascaris, The Red Shore, and Function Cease, the band is more than up their game, and they showcase music that is for those who enjoy the likes of Ulcerate, Gorguts, and Volcandra. If you want that balance of chaos and eeriness, you need to check out Growth. Next up is Kerrigan with Wayfarer, and I'm just gonna say this is probably my favorite revival metal album so far in 2026. The sophomore album from this German band, featuring 3/4 of the funeral doom band Lone Wanderer, returns with their signature style of vintage heavy metal, and it's easily some of the best that you will hear this year. I love the debut album Blood Moon that came out a few years ago so much, but this is a gigantic step in the right direction, and it's the best qualities in all the right ways, from the production to the performances, and especially the songwriting. This feels like the best band of 1986 that you didn't hear until 2026. If you want a band that can combine the best of bands like Satan, Night Demon, Hunt, and Defender, do yourself a proper favor and check out what might be the best revival metal album of 2026. Now we have Power Paladin with Beyond the Reach of Enchantment, and I'm just gonna say it, this was my most awaited album of the year, and this is probably gonna be my favorite power metal album of the year. This Atlantic power metal band came out with one of my favorite power metal albums of all time with The Magic of Windfire Steel, and I think that they've actually did the right move and made it a more power metal album that is more mature, fewer references, and more refined. It was the right choice. While the music maintains the passion, fun, and everything that makes the genre work, work. It just takes things more seriously and it's done with more earnest, and it makes for what will be likely my favorite power metal album 2026, and arguably one of my favorite power metal albums of all time. The production is killer, the songwriting is as majestic as it is smile-inducing, and it just captures that pure joy of what power metal brings to the table. This is my kind of power metal, and you need to experience it for yourself. Up next is Rivers Ablaze with Inexternal Dread. The 5th album in 6 years from this Hungarian band is my first foray into the band, and I'm absolutely loving what I'm hearing. This is an extreme take on progressive, blackened death metal that is so satisfying to listen to over and over again, feeling like an unholy mix of a flourishing scourge, an abstract illusion, and oddly enough, I hear a lot of gore fest in the growls, and it makes the album feel so much more crushing with all these genres working in the right way, and it still finds a way to feel triumphant and cascades into a sense of darkness all around you. I love it when a combination of music like this works, and Rivers Ablaze is more than carrying the torch for it. It's sensational work. Now we have Samurai Pizza Cats with Press Start. My 3-word review of Electric Cowboy's techno was as follows: big, dumb, fun. If I have to keep it as short as that, Press Start by Samurai Pizza Cats is as follows: bigger, dumber, fun. 11 songs of anime, video game, and pizza-inspired alternative metalcore that is just meant to put a smile on your face and enjoy what you're hearing. Obviously, this won't be for everyone who checks out my reviews, but if you want to escape reality for a while and fall into a world that is as silly as it is proficient, Samurai Pizza Cats has provided you with that with Press Start. Now we have Siege Perilous with Become the Dragon. The debut album from this Colorado band is another fine example of just taking what makes power metal and epic heavy metal work and putting your own spin to it all. Of course, the band isn't fully reinventing the wheel here, but in a genre like this, that's not the point. It's to make the most solid music possible while hitting the moments that you would expect. You combine that with the excellent production and 2 awesome guest spots from Fabio Leone and Kristen Starkey to give this just a little more cred, and you have an album that is for anyone who enjoys the likes of Blind Guardian, Rhapsody, Krillon, and Evermore. Excellent, excellent music. And finally, for brand new music out today, we have Total Maniac with Love Overdrive. The sophomore album from this Baltimore band is pure sex, drugs, and Satan, combining 80s sleaze rock, crust punk, speed metal, and more into a familiar but fun-filled album that is exactly what you need sometimes, and you get more of that here than a lot of other albums. The production has that classic 80s flair to it, and the songs are tailor-made for the live setting. It's 8 tracks that are short, sweet, and fulfill the needs of bands like Midnight, Bat, Motorhead, and Stainless. What else could you possibly need? And now for everything that I missed along the way, starting with Chalice of Suffering, with The Raven Cries, One Last Time. The 3rd album from this Minneapolis funeral doom powerhouse is exactly what I needed. It's so much more than your run-of-the-mill funeral doom, by adding so many textures and layers to the music, creating an atmosphere of dynamics and just raw enough production and pure sadness across the album to make this authentic. Feeling like a mix of Apocalypse Orchestra, Aro, and Swallow the Sun, this is an album that redefines what can be done on one of the most haunting genres of metal, and it rips your soul apart in the process. This is how it's done, folks. Next up is Fabian Ernie with Starvale. One of the most standout vocalists in metal today has finally created a solo album, and it feels like the perfect mesh between her other bands Illumishade, Elvati, and her love of other styles of music rolled into one. Between the clear and polished production, the songwriting on this one showcases the best elements of her vocal ability and makes everything shine. It's a brilliant showcase that I hope builds into more solo albums and even more of a vast collection of material and styles in the future. Until then, this is a perfect crash course of everything that Fabian Ernie is all about. Now we have Fading Sun with their self-titled album. The 3rd album from this German outfit is a combination of sounds that simply works, creating a mix of epic metal, Melodeath, and more to create a sound that is for anyone who enjoys bands like Ayat, Socom, and Keep of Kelsian. The production is raw and authentic, with growls that are utterly gruesome in the best of ways, balancing the epic, melody, and death metal that is a hard combination to nail, but Falling Aeon has done it in a way that more than showcases what can be done when you truly care about the music you're making. This is more than worthy of your time if you want to hear epic Melodeath. And now for one of the most polarizing post-black albums of 2026, it's Garia with Loss. Portugal's Garia took a gigantic chance on their latest album Loss, shifting from their post-black sound that made them a huge name in the underground and started incorporating more melodic metalcore and modern metal attributes into their post-black sound. Some people are very much up in arms about this change. I, on the other hand, think it was the best decision they could have made. The music hits so much harder when it gets into the extreme end of things, and it suckers you in with undeniably catchy choruses and out-of-nowhere melodic riffing that you simply won't see coming, making a change that they wanted to make, instead of just repeating what they've done in the past, and this is what's going to skyrocket them into post-black superstardom. For anyone who digs Death Heaven, Mole, Heretois, and Groza, take note, Garia might be the most prolific post-black band out there after this album, and they may have put out the most popular post-black album ever made. Next up is Hanging Garden with Isle of Bliss. The 9th album from this long-running Finnish band continues to push what is possible in the Gothic Death Doom sound, and it may end up being one of my favorite albums from the band. Not only does it cover the core sound that has always been a part of the band, but they continue striving for more dynamics, tempo changes, left-of-center changes, and simply making the best music possible. Matched up with a stunning production style, this is how innovation should feel. If you enjoy the likes of Counting Hours, October Tide, Paradise Lost, and Swallow the Sun, you need Hanging Garden in your life. Now we have the Horror with Fallout. This came out back in the end of January, so it took me a while to get to this one, but I'm so glad that I did. The sophomore album from this English band is a winning combination of the catchiest elements of 2020's rock and metal, but done with absolute sincerity that you simply can't fake. From the emotional riffs, the pained vocals, and the outstanding guitar solos that appear at just the right times. This is a band that hits both the most commercial sound, but heavy enough to be on any metalcore show at the same time. This is for those who enjoy the likes of As Everything Unfolds, Lost in Hollywood, and As December Falls, who makes an appearance on this album. I can't imagine that if you are looking for the sound, you would be disappointed in this one. Now we have Inner Vitriol with Semper Taci, which I think is how you pronounce it. The sophomore album and first in 14 years from this Italian progressive metal band is more than worth the wait. It captures everything that I remember hearing all the way back in 2012 with their debut album, but updated for the 2020s, but never loses its edge. They even got Jeff Tate to show off his vocals on the album, which is pretty cool to see. Mixed in with an early 2000s production style, imagine hearing a melding of Pain of Salvation, Selwyn, Evergrey, and In Virtue, and you have a stellar display of progressive metal. Give this one a proper listen. Now we have Neurosis with An Undying Love for a Burning World. Through many trials and tribulations, Neurosis is still here after 41 years, and they have made another evolution. Aaron Turner, formerly of Isis, and now of Sumac and Old Man Gloom for such a long time now, is taking over on vocals and some of the guitar, and the band shadow dropped their 12th album and first in a decade last Friday. Without having any idea what to expect from this lineup, I think the band has recaptured everything that I ever loved about the band in their post-metal sound, their atmospheric metal, and sludge metal sounds as well. The band both recaptured the sound, but also forges a new path at the same time, which is a very hard thing to achieve. This puts all the mainstays of the genres on the current day on notice. Neurosis have returned, and they may have put out their finest album of their career, and as sacrilege as it may sound, this might be my favorite since Through Silver and Blood. It's just that good. Now we have Salos with A Slaughter for the Empire. Given the amount of music I cover every year, my instrumental intake has diminished over the years to only albums that make my jaw drop, and the debut album from this Greek duo is that and then some. This captures everything I love about progressive post-metal, with so many ethereal and atmospheric dynamics to make the ebb and flow, the peaks and valleys, and the overall sound so satisfying. Matched with a killer production style and songwriting is clearly from the heart. This is an instrumental album I can't recommend enough. If you enjoy the likes of Sometime in February, Long Distance Calling, Russian Circles, and God is an Astronaut, check this out immediately. Next up is Shoreline with Is This the Low Point or the Moment After? The 4th album from this German band hit me like a ton of bricks, and with every listen, it hits harder. While this is not my usual style of music of that post-hardcore, emo, and punk variety, when it's done right, it suckers me in, and it doesn't let me go from beginning to end. From the devastating lyrics to the just heavy enough riffs to the general atmosphere that simply makes you feel something, this is the kind of album that help you binge and purge all of your emotions. If you enjoy the likes of Touche Amore, Spanish love songs, and Chief State, this is required listening. Now we have the silver with Looking Glass, Hymnal Blue. Members of Horrendous, Crypt Sermon, and Knight's Blood are making outstanding post-black metal together. I don't think I could ask for a better combination to make this style of music. The sophomore album from this Philadelphia band captures the most gorgeous and the most extreme ends of the genre, and it makes it completely their own. With a production style that's as real as it gets, and songwriting that knows how to keep her interest for 8 songs in almost 43.5 minutes, this is an innovation of post-black that I didn't realize that we needed, and it only gets better the more you listen. Seriously, this is why it pays to listen to more styles of music than what you normally listen to. You get a band like The Silver, and it's ridiculously good. Here we have a somber funeral with Since You Left These Shores. Have I mentioned how good we're sitting on post-black in 2026? This is another shining example in the form of the sophomore album from this German duo. The music is as raw and gut-wrenching display of some of the saddest and some of those gorgeous elements of atmospheric post-black, with lyrics that will shatter your soul. There's a ton of great guest spots from some of the best musicians in post-black as well. If you want a real crash course on the raw side of this genre, this is the perfect class 101 for the genre. Seriously, give A Somber Funeral your proper attention. And finally today we have Taiketo with Closer to the Sun. For a band that's been around since '87, I'm stunned that there are only 6 albums from this New York City band, but I also remember that I interviewed the band for their last album, Reach, back in 2016. So regardless, Taiketo is a shining example of making the music that you want to make and not following the trends after the times have changed. This is everything that you've ever loved about the band, from the bluesy aspects to the just right amount of glam leanings to the full-on AOR elements that made the band last. It's great to see them back, and you can tell from the videos of the new album that they are happy to be here. Considering how many of their contemporaries sound today, and how many of them have just simply given up on trying to make any good music, Taiketo is as reliable and as enjoyable as they were all the way back in '91. And if you want that throwback sound with an updated production style, check out Closer to the Sun by Taiketo. And there you go, folks. 24 albums down this week, 67 albums done in March 2026, and 180 albums done in 2026 so far. So what'd you think? Did I cover some good albums, some bad albums, anything that you want to check out, anything that you're hearing about for the first time, anything that I might have missed? Please let me know down below. And of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Make sure you come back in a couple days when I do my every album I reviewed in March 2026 recap, and every album I reviewed in Q1 2026 recap as well. Or just come back next Friday as we do Out Today and What I Missed for April 3rd, 2026. Until then, this is Josh Runquist for the Heavy Briefings YouTube channel saying embrace the skillet.